So, hey guys, Ben Fung here from UpDoc Media, and just doing a follow up on a blog post that kind of blew it up a little bit. We just posted it maybe 36 hours ago or less, maybe even less than that. It's called Why Lowballing Salaries is Hurting Everyone. I'm just going to kind of hit the big points of the fact that lowballing salaries will, it just sucks. And we always know it's the vulnerable people that get lowballed, the ones that financially feel like they need it the most and they can't negotiate their position. Ultimately, the issue with this is that whatever industry is doing this is ultimately going to lower their own value internally. If I can pay you less, well, then my customers can pay me less, and so on and so forth. And this follow-up, really what I wanted to focus on was how you can dig your way out of this, at least on the individual level. There's all sorts of solutions at a organizational, even a large corporate level, and even throughout the industry. Some of those strategies take a little more time, but individually, there are some ways of dealing with it where you can negotiate your way off of a lowballed salary. And you've heard me say it over and over again. You'll hear it on, I think, a podcast soon on PT Pintcast. One of the most important things when you are facing a lowballed salary rate is you have to actually know that that is low. You need to go into a salary negotiation with some very accurate and precise understandings of where the job market is and what a reasonable range of salary is supposed to be for a particular industry, setting, position, location, region, etc. The second thing that you really want to consider is if this is something that you have just discovered and you're already working in this position and you want to ask for a raise, that adds an interesting dimension. One of the best ways to do it is simply objectively, hey, you are doing better. And unless the company and that hiring manager wants to go through the cost of turnover, which is ridiculously immense, financially speaking, unless they're just completely close to the idea, they will meet you, or they should meet you, up until the point where hiring someone new is more affordable than paying you more. And that, on the average, across all industries, is 30%. So I can't imagine, that I can't imagine anybody giving you a 30% raise right off the top, but that is the true levity on an annual basis. And so if they want to keep you for, 5 years, they can at least give you like a 5 or 6% bump and go from there. Now, you don't want to just go guns blazing out there with whoever your boss is and say, "Hey, look, if you don't give me a raise, I'm leaving, and it's going to cost you 30% of my annual salary to replace me." So, that's not a really great way of going about it. What you want to go is in with that knowledge that if your manager knows what they're doing, they know that by losing you, they stand to lose not only the revenue that you create as an employee, but also they have to pay for temporary staff, and they have to pay for the replacement cost, which is, again, 30% of your annual salary on average. And that's like a minimum average. If what you do is pretty technical and requires a lot of training, it's going to be a lot more. And if you're in a leadership track, like you're a shift lead or you're a supervisor, manager, etc., the replacement cost of yours is like 80%, if not higher, depending on the industry. So just go in there with that knowledge that there is that consideration to be had. And the way you want to approach it is this: say, hey, look, I really enjoy working with you. I feel that we have a great synergy together. I love this department. I love this business unit, or whatever it is called, this team, this organization, this company. The people are great. You're really great to work for. You're somebody I look up to. Butter them up, that kind of stuff. And come from the very vulnerable sense of, hey, look, and with all that said, I have to consider the financial, health of my situation. And I'm just noticing from the job market, I've been reached out to. Some people have been trying to recruit me, and they're offering me some pretty nice looking figures, figures that are a little nicer than they are here. And, out of respect for you and out of respect for this team and this company, I wanted to bring this up to you and get your thoughts on it. And that's a subtle way, without just coming straight out and saying, are you willing to match that, for your manager and your boss to go, okay, well, let's consider it. And I've known managers to say, hey, look, can I counter like right now? Like if you're leaving, hey, I'll counter right now. And, just don't go away. Other managers will say, well, let me take that up my chain of command. I have to talk to my boss, obviously, and that has to go down the rung again. Then I'll let you know. And then you just go, okay, great. Well, how about let's set up a follow-up for Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever day that you wanted to call it. The final way of asking for a bump, one of my favorite ways, especially if you're in a service or production-based industry, is your productivity levels or your efficiency levels. Basically, how much stuff do you get done, right? If, I'm obviously in healthcare, physical therapy. So, as a physical therapist, if you're, say, in a hospital setting and your average, required productivity is, say, 75 or 80% billable patient direct care hours. And even though that doesn't 100% lead to a revenue contribution, it's still a measure, right? And so if you're pulling out at, say, 90, 95% or even more, perhaps just off the base, you're picking up 3 or 4 evaluations more on a 10-hour shift than your average colleague is in that department. You have something objective to use and say, hey, look, if you're not going to give me a straight up raise, maybe how about a staff promotion? So maybe you can get me from a level 1 to a level 2, based on just performance alone. And if they don't say yes right away, don't be offended by it. Don't get taken back. Don't draft your 2-week resignation letter right now. It's something that sometimes managers need to kind of just sit on a little bit, and be sure to give them a way out, right? Don't corner them and go, hey, look, raise now or nothing, right? Because it's going to be nothing. What needs to happen sometimes is they need to mull on that a little bit and recognize, hey, you are not alone. You're of a couple of people, maybe a small majority in a group that seems to be outperforming consistently. Maybe we need to revisit how we base merit and base performance assessments for this particular, service line or product line, etc. So just some things to think about. Lowballing salaries, it doesn't help anybody. And, if you're watching this, whether it's live or on recording, and you own a business or you're a manager, just recognize that, right now, Generation Xers and the Yers, the millennials, in 2020, they will represent over 70% of your workforce. And they're not as interested in company loyalty or annual merit raises as they are feeling valued in the work they do and being compensated fairly for the work that they do. They're not interested in sticking around for 10 years just so that they can get paid fair market wages and build up some type of 401k, when really what they need is they need the liquidity now, because they have student loans to pay off now. And I'm actually writing up a whole follow-up blog post on value-based employee pay, employee compensation, how that makes money for everyone in the long run. And companies that have recognized this, they're already adopting this. They're transitioning very, very quickly. Some are already doing it, and they're doing very, very well. Everyone benefits because it's no longer about, it's not about, well, I've been doing this for 15 years and I've been at this company for 10, and so now I'm worth X amount, like it's some type of linear thing. But the truth of the matter is, while that experience certainly matters and we respect that experience, doesn't always directly correlate or contribute financially or measurably even, to a business unit or business as a whole. So this is just a quick blab follow-up. I think I linked the blog post, and I'll link it right now in the chat. So just in case you haven't taken a look, take a look. It's titled An Open Letter to Employers. So I just hope that some businesses take a second look at this. You're probably going to feel angry. Maybe you consider me offensive for even bringing this up. But really, the real reason I'm doing this is because this hurts everybody. It doesn't matter what your industry is. If you start to lowball salaries over and over and over again, what's stopping your stakeholders, your value chain, and your consumers from saying, yeah, you too, right? If you can afford to pay somebody X amount of dollars less, then I can afford to pay you X amount of dollars less. Trust me, it happens. All right. It's the behaviors of microeconomics. So take a look at the post. We're doing that follow-up post where we can outline. We're going to be outlining some of the mechanisms of why value-based pay is better, and just kind of the corollary to why you shouldn't be lowballing. And we're open to conversation. You let us know, what you think. If we're making you mad, let's figure out why. And we have solutions to offer as well. That's part of why we're here. To advocate success across the board. And we have a couple more things lined up. Just in case you haven't been in the loop, just sign up for our newsletter. We have that Marketing MBA in 2 hours webinar that we're hoping to get signups next week. So just a lot of things happening. I just wanted to get the video out there. Hope you enjoyed our time together. I'm Ben Fung, UpDoc Media. I'll see you next